Dolphins are going to run a play here.
Yeah, I don't know if I really love this decision.
Over the middle, got his man, and look at him go! Jalen Waddle for the touchdown!
Tagovailoa. Blocked by Armstead. Tua into the end zone. Caught for the touchdown! Caught for the touchdown! Waddle! Allen. Up. Grabbed. Gets away! Oh my goodness, how did he escape? It goes off to McKenzie. He'll drive and dance. The clock continues to tick. He picks up 11. Miami is won! Zeros on the clock!
The biggest what could have been in the 2022-2023 NFL season, the Miami Dolphins. A quick start led the team to 3-0 with wins over the Patriots at home, an amazing comeback against the Ravens on the road, and a great win against the Bills at home. They move on to play Cincinnati, and we see the infamous Tua Tagovailoa concussion. This completely derailed the season. This team is now 8-8 with a slim chance to make the playoffs, right around 50%. They need to beat the Jets, and they need the Bills to beat the Patriots in order to make the playoffs. This game against the Jets will be played without Tua Tagovailoa, and nobody has any clue on if this team makes the playoffs, if he will be able to come back, and if they will have any sort of chance of making a run. But they could have. We see after this game against the Bills into his first concussion, as we see there against the Milano tackle, and then going against the Bengals where he really got hurt. This team played the Bengals, Jets, and Vikings without Tua, all very winnable games. At the time when he got hurt, the game was very close against the Bengals, and still with Teddy Bridgewater, they played decent. We see a 40-17 loss against the Jets that by no way would have happened if Tua was quarterback. Most of that game was played with sixth round rookie Skylar Thompson from Kansas State playing quarterback. And then we see another loss against the Vikings, who are being shown as a very beatable team, as the Vikings won by 8, one of their many one-score wins, even though the Vikings did not play very well that game. Then we have the win streak. The Dolphins, after a 3-0 start, find themselves at 3-3 after 3 straight losses, and they rattle off 5 straight wins to get to 8-0, all pretty convincingly. A slim victory against the Steelers, then 2 offensive, very good, very dominant offensive wins against the Lions and Bears, where the defense didn't show up at all. Then you see the defense start to get it right, blowing out the Browns and blowing out the Texans. And then we have the losing streak that they are still on, losing in San Francisco on a game where the offense didn't play well at all, or the defense, to Brock Purdy. The start of the Brock Purdy era that game was, losing to the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, barely losing to the Bills in a game they should have won, and then losing to the Packers in a game they should have won, and then losing to the Patriots without Tua in another game that they should have won. And now here they are, finding themselves 8-8 on the outside looking in instead of in the playoffs. This team was so hot before Tua's injuries. The game against the Ravens could be looked back as one of the best regular season games of this season, and as well as that Bills-Dolphins game, that was another really good game for this team. And even the Bills-Dolphins game that they lost later in the season, this team has played some very well games. At the beginning of the season, the offense carried, and then we saw the defense start to pick it up. Defense helped to win that Bills game. This led them to trade for Bradley Chubb, adding in more defensive help. And that trade really hasn't paid off due to this injury to Tua, and it makes it the biggest what could have been, because who knows how good this team is. This offense had looked great for so long, and then completely lost their rhythm at the end of the season, and who knows how that changes if Tua is still there. For me, if I'm going to go through it, I'm going to leave the Bengals game as a loss because we know how good the Bengals are. But if people forget the Bengals weren't that good at the beginning of the season, this was a very winnable game, especially on a Thursday. Who knows what happens. When Tua was still in, it was a close game, and the Dolphins had the ball with a chance to lead. I believe they're down 4 at the time of his concussion. Then you have the game against the Jets. Let's be honest here, if Tua plays, Dolphins most likely beat the Jets, and we don't get to see Tua play against it again. But based on the Jets season and the rosters, I'm going to take the Dolphins in that one. And Tua at home versus the Vikings. This is before the Vikings really asserted themselves as a good team early in the season. Especially now, I'm taking the Dolphins to beat the Vikings. So you add 2 more wins to this team, and who knows where they are. They would have already been in the playoffs. You wouldn't need to worry about it now. And if the concussion never happened, we saw the concussion that we think on the play against Green Bay. Maybe that impact doesn't do the damage if he never had the original concussions. But what we see here is something that who knows what could have been. This team was so promising, and it's very unfortunate to see really just one key injury completely derailed the team. The offense was so fun to watch, and as far as everybody who plays fantasy football loved having Tyreek or Jalen Waddle on their team, and many people even picked up Tua as their quarterback once they saw how good he was and if he was available in your league. And a lot of people are getting screwed in fantasy playoffs now. But you see some of the touchdowns they were throwing, just impressive timing routes on plays you wouldn't expect to be touchdowns. This team has improved tremendously on defense, and we see the past couple weeks people blaming the defense for losses, but it comes down to the offense not really doing its job to help out the defense. But they have the talent on defense. People forget that Byron Jones was out for the season. Xavier Howard was out last week against the Patriots, and they added Bradley Chubb halfway through, and they have younger players making huge impacts that'll definitely get better for next season. You've got a lot of stars on the defensive side of the ball, and we know about the stars on the offense, and we've seen what Raheem Mostert has become even with his fumbling issues. We've seen what Jeff Wilson has become reunited with his offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. We see what this offense has become. It's going to be very exciting to see what this team can do next year, and it's very unfortunate that it didn't work out for them this year. And hopefully they can stay healthy and put together a run, because it's going to be very impressive to see what this team can do, what this franchise can do, and what other moves they might make in the offseason. There's not much to add, but injuries completely derailed the Dolphins this season. Tua's concussion, Byron Jones never playing a snap, Teron Armstead getting hurt, Xavier Howard getting hurt, not having Bradley Chubb for the full season, and even River Craycraft, who had some significant contributions, not being around towards the end of the season, really derailed this team, and it makes it the biggest what could have been in the 2022-2023 NFL season.